Welcome to the King Films 2021 Pac-12 Men's Basketball Tournament predictions. Before I start, I would like to emphasize that you guys should subscribe to the channel as we will have a plethora of basketball content coming out this week in anticipation of Selection Sunday, multiple episodes of bracketology, all the men's basketball tournaments, and more. So please be sure to subscribe for a great week ahead for the channel. Going into the Pac-12 tournament, we've got on the left side, Washington State against Arizona State in the 9-8 matchup. Both teams are pretty cold right now, but I'm going to have Arizona State winning. They just lost to Utah, but I think that Remy Martin is going to turn it on going into the Pac-12 tournament. Everyone's been saying that they've been saving up for the tournament all season. They've had issues all year with injuries and whatnot, so I think that they will be able to get it done against an inferior Washington State team. In the 1-8 matchup, I've got Oregon beating Arizona. Oregon's very hot right now. Of their last 10 games, their only loss is to USC. They just beat UCLA. They just beat Oregon State. So I feel comfortable with having them going to the semifinals where they will play one of those two teams that they just beat, and I have that team being UCLA. UCLA is a great team. They've got Juzang, they've got Tiger Campbell, and more. And Oregon State has some great players as well, Thompson and Reichel among them. But I see UCLA getting it done. I feel like there is a divide between the 4 and 5 seed in Pac-12 as they're separated by 3 games. UCLA is the far superior team. Oregon State can upset many teams in the Pac-12, but I see UCLA getting it done here to play Oregon, where I see Oregon winning again. They've got Amarui and Duarte, and they're a great team, and they just beat UCLA. Granted, it was at home, and it was a very close game, could have gone either way. UCLA just played USC tough on the road, so it's definitely going to be a tough out for Oregon, but I see this one maybe being a thriller in overtime, and maybe Duarte hitting the game-winning shot to send them to the final. Moving on to the right side, we've got the 7-10 matchup between Utah and Washington, and I see this one being pretty simple. Utah's rolling right now. They just blew the doors off ASU by almost 40 points. Washington does not stand much of a chance here. Washington does have that win over Colorado in their last 10, but that's their only win in the Pac-12. The difference between the 7 seed and the 10 seed in the Pac-12 is immense. Please note that there is no Arizona in this tournament. They are suffering sanctions, but it would have been great to see Arizona in this tournament. In the 11-6 matchup, we've got number 11 Cal against number 6 Stanford. Stanford probably needs to go to the final to be considered a bubble team with wins over Colorado, USC, and then maybe they'd even need to beat Oregon or UCLA in the final just to give themselves a shot at the bubble. Obviously, if they won the final, they'd have the auto bid, but I'm going to have Cal winning. Stanford has not looked good down the stretch here. Cal has not looked much better, and at the 11 seed, you'd think that there's no way they can get it done. They've lost to Stanford twice this season, but I'm going to have Cal. They won it last year. They always seem to win these games later in the season against a Stanford's team that's on the bubble, and Stanford always chokes down the stretch, so give me Cal to win. And I would have had Colorado beating Stanford, but since I have Cal winning, I'm going to have Cal beating Colorado too. Colorado's a great team. They've got Wright the fourth. They've got Evan Batty as well. And they shoot free throws with the best in the nation. They're looking to set the single season record, or maybe they even have if the regular season is considered over. But I'm going to have Cal winning because Colorado has not been great against the worst teams in this conference. While they did beat Cal one of the times in the most recent meeting where they went on the road, they did lose. It is worth noting that Colorado is a great team at home because of the altitude. That's not the only factor. They're a great team, but that is a factor certainly. So I'm going to have Cal advancing to the semifinal. Also, a quick note about the Pac-12. Many of you guys may say that this conference stinks because they only have one AP poll team right now, maybe 2 if USC can get ranked this week. But I maintain USC and Colorado should both be top 15 teams, maybe even top 20, depending on how the NET rankings shake out this week. With Oregon right on the doorstep there, they should definitely be one of the top receiving votes teams. So this is certainly a tough conference, and Arizona, who's not even in this tournament, is also a tough out. So the Pac-12 gets very underrated, as for most of the season they've had the same number of AP poll teams as a conference like the WCC, the Mountain West, and the A10, but it's really a superior conference to those top to bottom. In the 7-2 matchup, I was inclined to give Utah the win here, as Utah did beat USC at home, and then they lost barely on the road to them, but I'm going to have USC winning. They just pulled out a close one, a gutsy one against UCLA. Had to kind of get lucky just to get this 2 seed. Otherwise, they would have faced the 5 seed here in Oregon State. They would have swapped with UCLA pretty much. USC the win. They've got Tajidi, who played great, Drew Peterson, and the Mobley brothers as well. So I have them playing Cal. And of course, I have Cal's Cinderella run ending here. It was a great run for Cal. I'd be very surprised if they could make it this far, but I'm going to have USC advancing to the final. A note that if Colorado does face USC, I would have had Colorado winning. So usually they've been better than USC, beating them twice this season. USC, for some reason, hasn't been able to figure it out. Also, some polar opposite teams from the free throw line. So I'm going to give USC the win to send them to the final. In the final, I'm going to have USC beating Oregon. It wasn't really close the first time they played. USC choked down the stretch to not be the 1 seed in this tournament, and I think they're the better team here. If they can get their 3-point shooting, they can beat anyone in the nation, top to bottom. But if they don't have their free 3-point shooting, they could be losing to either Utah or Washington in the first round of this tournament. This will be a very interesting tournament, and we'll see how it shakes out. Thank you for watching the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe and comment below your predictions as well.